Hello and welcome to Lucas's Civics video project. My name is Lucas. So, to begin, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? My strengths: I'm a fast learner, I'm easygoing, and as well, I put a good sum of effort into things. I'm a fast learner because even if I have no prior knowledge whatsoever of something, somebody can still teach it to me rather quickly. Let's take math for example. You learn something new in math every single day, even though it's always based off of prior knowledge from years before. Who actually remembers that stuff? Like nobody. I'm easygoing because say something screws up, I don't make a big kerfuffle like, oh my god, what's going on? I'm gonna screw everything up. Like no, what I do is I just brush it off and try to figure a way around it. It's not really that hard. And I put a good sum of effort into things because if I want something done really well, I will actually put time and effort into it to make it well. Take this video for example. I'm on shot 27 probably because I keep screwing up all my intros. Okay, so what are my weaknesses? My weaknesses are I don't necessarily work the greatest with people I'm not comfortable with. So let's say we're doing group work and I'm not with any of my close friends. Yeah, I'll still contribute and stuff, but it won't be to the extent that I could if I was with a couple of my friends at least, or even one of them for whatever it's called, for that matter. How can I improve myself and society? Well, I can improve myself by learning how to work better with people I don't know, because even though in school, you know everybody. You know who's in your classes and all that stuff. You know how they work. But, say, if you have to work with somebody completely new, like when you're starting a job, then you can't not do good, because then people will look at you and be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. You have to fire him. No, you have to learn to work with others, which is something that I think I need to do. How can I improve my blah, 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 blah. How can I improve society? Well, I would consider myself to be a good person, so I can give society good deeds and help those who need help. If I see somebody who's hurt and or injured or needs help somewhere, I'll go out of my way to help them. How has this experience changed my attitude and my outlook? Well, it has changed my attitude because throughout the whole civic mirror, I was living on the poverty line. I kid you not. I had between 0 and $500. That's not really that good, but I was getting the bare necessities for my family. I had a house, so I had a roof over my head. I also had food. I had education, and for the most part, I had healthcare every single time. Oddly enough, I was living in the best neighborhood possible, with a neighborhood score of 10, which was good, but it wasn't, because even though I had all the good stuff, I couldn't get extras. I just had the bare minimum. And it has taught me to look at people's situations better, because even in the game, I was a lawyer, and as well I was a member of parliament. I was in the House of Commons. In the real world, those are two considerably well-paying jobs. In the civic mirror, not so much, considering I was still living on the poverty line. It was very difficult to get stuff done, because I was always having to borrow money from people and depend off of government welfare. It wasn't a good time. How has it changed my outlook on life? Well, I now know that I would not want to put my family on the poverty line, because considering that I was on it for the majority of the civic mirror, and I know that it's not that good, why would you want to do that to a real world family? It's terrible. What about the experience shocked me, and what can I learn from it? Well, I learned that it is quite easy to be on the poverty line, and or in some people's eyes to be considered poor. Because like I said before, I was a lawyer and I was in parliament. You expect me to have all the stuff, security, insurance, all the extras that people don't really need. But no, I'm just Anybody have any food left? I need food. My family's starving. Does anybody have healthcare or education? Please, I need it. Okay. And then say they did have it, like last year in 2003, I would have to say to the farmer, like, come on, I don't have that much. Can you give me $100 off? Luckily, he's a good man and he gave it to me. God bless his soul. And I also learned that you don't judge a book by its cover, because I heard this story one time about how these people were volunteering at a soup kitchen, and they saw this man walk in with a nice fancy suit, getting soup. So one of the people asked him, hey, like, why are you in here? You must have a well-paying job. And the person replied, well, I do, except I make enough just to pay my bills and my rent and all that stuff, and I can not really afford food. And the people were pretty floored by it, because I don't know the exact story, but I think the guy was a lawyer or something like that. Once again, a well-paying job. Um, well, what did I learn? What did I, what did I really learn to understand about law, government, and society? Law. Sometimes people sue people over the dumbest things. Like in the Civic Mirror, a person whose name I will not mention sued another person for trying to steal money. Like, he had no proof of it whatsoever. The guy was just on his computer. And in the real world, that would be so stupid. It's like, hey, get off my computer. I'm suing you for everything you have. Like, no, that's just stupid. Like, no, sorry the partially vulgar language, but it is. Government, it's all a show, because our Prime Minister, even though he did these things that legitimately helped the people, but the second that we put him into a dictatorship, boom, power out the wazoo. He's just like, I have the best neighborhood score. He was jealous, so what he's gonna do is like put all these businesses beside me to bring down my neighborhood score. Like, scumbag prime minister or what? And in society, in all honesty, I didn't really learn anything about society. How has this experience prepared me for reality? It taught me how the House of Commons works. I know that is partially irrelevant, but it isn't, because you know how sometimes you flick through the channels and you see the House of Commons randomly pop up on channel like 98 or something like that? I would always be like, oh, I don't want to watch this, it's boring. But now I might just watch it, like without accidentally clicking on it, because it sparked an interest in me. What did I find annoying about the experience? Well, whenever it's the spring market, the class sounded like it's the stock market. Everybody's like, hey, everybody, who has food? Who has healthcare? Etc., etc. Like, gives you a headache if you're sitting beside loud people. Who has an apartment? Stuff like that. Like, really, so the yelling and shouting and stuff, that was quite annoying. But what I found frustrating was that in the last 2 years of the game, I didn't get healthcare. This government is supposed to be it was a democracy, so everybody should have equal rights and such, and free healthcare like we do in Canada. But no, little old me, Mr. Lawyer and House of Commons, who lives in a fancy mansion, can't even get healthcare. Like, that's just absurd. So I feel bad for the people living in the United States, because they don't have healthcare unless they're rich. And the majority of people die every day without healthcare because their government can't afford it. Our government could afford it in the Civic Mirror, but chose not to, because to help the greater good of the people. Blah blah blah, that's what he says, that's a load of poo. Because he could have easily developed a tree into healthcare, even though that might have impacted our environment a little bit. It wouldn't have done anything major. So, this is my culminating activity for 2013 Civic Mirror Civics class of Miss St. Pierre. Thank you and have a good day/evening whenever you watch this.